What is up, my little fruity patooties? We are here for our Gemini Full Moon workshop. This is our full moon of December. We're at a super moon. Gemini is a mutable air sign. It's a masculine sign. And when we have our lunations, we have this ability to connect with the qualities of the sign that is influencing the moon. And so basically what that entails is that we're all able to tap into enhancing the gifts and powers and talents of the Gemini within us, as long as we also transcend and overcome the existing shadow aspects and difficulties that Gemini has. So where, in spiritual alchemy, when we transmute our negativity, it opens up the energy to be retransferred or recaptured by the light in us. It's like recaptured sparks of light that were stolen by negativity. So as we overcome the shadow aspects and awaken and transcend and elevate those shadow aspects of Gemini, we actually activate and empower the strengths and talents and gifts of the Gemini. So it's like our payment, it's like how we earn that light. So there are a few things that are lining up right now that all make this particular sort of energetic astrological gumbo moving through the holidays. Y'all Cajun people, I used to date this Cajun guy, and I would go down to his family holidays and we'd alternate Christmas and Thanksgiving, and Cajun people eat gumbo at Christmas and Thanksgiving. If I remember correctly, it's Christmas also. But they always have like Cajun dishes. It's not just the usual like American holiday food, but oh my gosh, I love Cajun food so much. But anyway, a lot of times I will compare people to gumbos and jambalayas. So right now we are in kind of a gumbo. There's a lot of ingredients that all come together for like one sort of uniform dish, one big pot of food, right? And I call it that because it's a stew that's yielding one meal, right? It's not just a bunch of like different sides on a plate with a meat. Like they all work together to make one artfully constructed, beautiful dish. Let's just put it that way. So I'll take you through the rundown. Ooh, look, okay, so this was my last year's Magick of I day planner because they didn't have the white vegan leather one, and I feel like the white vegan leather one lets the gold embossing pop just a little bit more, but I love this day planner. It has all of your aspects and things happening. It's just incredible. So it's a great reference tool. So here we have Mercury, I think it's trine is the triangle. Just want to be sure. I'm almost certain it is. Yes, I was right. Okay. So we have Mercury trining Jupiter, which means our communication skills can be enhanced, right? And not to mention our thoughts and our ideas might be expanded, right? What we initially might have had like a little idea or a spark of inspiration, like that could be really expanded into like this big vision. And if we really feed that and put effort towards it, just like we were saying, the more we overcome the shadow aspects of Gemini's wanting to go explore in all these different directions, and they're kind of non-committal because they're very experimental. And so if we can kind of hone in and fine tune the discipline and the focus, we can get clear about our message, we can get clear about our idea and take effort towards manifesting that, and it can expand like wildfire right now. So Jupiter expands anything that we give it. And so the effort that we give in the realm of Gemini is going to be to yield great fruits. And then just some keywords that will give you an overview of Gemini, right? It's the twins. So there's like this aspect of Gemini that's sort of dualistic, right? There's like two natures of the Gemini. They're not exactly Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but it's just that if you know any Geminis, they have like kind of like two sides to them. And they're very adventurous, they're very curious, they want to explore, they want to experience, they're very energetic, they're great manifestors. They are great conversationalists, super witty, super interesting, inquisitive, like they can talk and they can be charming, and you know, you can just really fall in love with a Gemini a lot of times really easily. And I think that's why people are like, oh, Gemini, because they fall in love with this Gemini. Then the Gemini's like, great, it's been fun having this great experimental getting to know you. And now I'm moving on to the next experiment. And it takes a long time for a Gemini to really kind of settle in and find that peace and that stillness. But once they do, they finally find that fulfillment. It's like they're always searching for the fulfillment and searching for the fulfillment, and they what they don't realize is their restlessness is kind of like preventing that fulfillment. So once they get that kind of out of their system and they can settle in, they can really bloom. Let's see what else about Gemini. Good writers, really good at like media things. So if you are, if you have like a media effort that you're working on, or book, or information that you're putting out there, or something artistic that you're creating, and it's through, the media somehow, like this is really going to be a good moon to utilize, right? And then in this waning stage, you're going to want to give things up that are getting in the way of your goals and pursuits, and enhancing the higher qualities of Gemini. Because of the waning, it's like releasing. So then we have Venus. Yes, Mercury trining Saturn. And so again, same deal when we were talking about bringing our idea into focus and practicing a bit of restriction and discipline. Right? The restriction isn't suppression. It's just practicing like conscious restraint around something. So the more we can, honor our time and focus on our idea and get clear about our vision and really respect taking pragmatic, practical action, and not just keeping it up in the idea space, and not, following the shiny object, and not thinking about FOMO and all of these things, but really devoting and dedicating ourselves to the thing and really sticking with it, then I think that is going to enhance Jupiter's effect even more. So then we have Mars trining Chiron. And I was actually excited to get home and start this video because I was at the store and I had this insight because I'd taken a glance at these aspects earlier. So in relation to what we've just talked about, here we have Mars trining Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is the wound that teaches us like a major lesson through our lives. It's like something that we work on learning and healing for our whole life, right? But it's the wound that teaches us the thing that we become so good at teaching others. So what do we know about Aries in regards in relation to communication and the discipline, right? So for starters, as it relates to, say, taking a project or an idea and bringing it into fruition and getting clear on the idea, the Aries energy is a cardinal energy. And by the way, Gemini is mutable. So this is a good time for change and transformation. So Aries is a cardinal sign. And so cardinal signs are really great at initiating something or getting something started, right? They get all the excitement and they love all the research and they love all the parts and pieces coming together. They love building something. Like I love building brands. I love building a look. I love building like a thing and launching it. And I love starting a project. I love getting excited about starting a project. But my weakness in life has been to, once my momentum kind of fizzles, unless I am super serious about that thing and have a lot of conscious discipline around it, I will let it sit and go stale. and maybe not finish it. And instead of being able to detach and let go of it, I've got a Cancer moon, so I just leave it, you know, and it piles up over time, right? And you've got all these projects that were unfinished, and they're kind of like all tugging at your energy. So we have to be really clear about like what we're letting go of or putting in deep freeze, you know, so it's not tugging and seeping out energy. It's called leaving empty vessels. When you start something and initiate something and you don't follow through, right? It's like you make a vow or you say you're going to do something and you don't do it. It's like you leave these empty vessels open to collect chaos. Imagine having a bunch of vases, right, with nothing in them and no caps on them, right? They're just going to gather dust. Well, our energetic vessels gather chaotic dusts and negative dusts, and it kind of builds up, and it starts to start making like random chaotic events and like unpleasant things happen in your life. Because you're you know, making empty promises, right? You're leaving contracts unfinished, undone. So Aries trining Chiron, also like being able to heal like our impulsiveness and our immaturity and maybe our rashness and you know, bullheadedness in a way. But there is like the way we communicate too, like maybe having more control over just blurting something out, or like being able to sweeten or soften or refine our approach or the way that we deliver something, right? Finding a little bit more grace in how we present, because the Mars is also like the warrior, right? And so Mars is the ram, and so we can be pretty direct. I am self-proclaimed, like I'm a very direct person. We and Sagittarius are probably the most blunt people in the zodiac, I would imagine. And it sometimes doesn't go over well. And sometimes I'll just be saying something that I don't think could be taken offensively at all. I just think I'm like communicating clearly. And the people on the other side of me are looking at me like, did you really just say what you said? And I'm like, what? What? You know? So I think it's like learning how to deliver and communicate with more grace and to sweeten and soften our communication so that other people are more receptive to the ideas that we're sharing. And you know, maybe this has been a lifelong sort of like thing that we've been learning and healing. And now we have Jupiter trining Saturn, which is like, these are positive aspects when you have a trine. It's like good to work with them. They are working well together. And so Jupiter and Saturn is literally like isolating that statement. The more discipline you put into something, the more blessing and expansion it's going to yield. The more it's going to open up your life and deepen your understanding and broaden your horizons and broaden your philosophy and, you know, create a greater sense of adventure for you, because, you know, when we have discipline and we yield fruits, then we probably have more resources to work with, right? But if we don't have discipline, then we don't create more resources, and it begins to feel like we don't get to participate in life. And then sometimes we work really hard and we still don't yield a lot of fruits, and we still don't feel like we're getting to participate in life, and that can be really frustrating. And I understand that a lot as an artist, as a person who's creative and could never really survive and going into like a traditional environment in a traditional 9-to-5 for the sake of just having security. You know, I had a calling and I've had other passions and interests, and they haven't offered me monetary consistency and security, but they've offered me a bold and exciting and life full of various and experiences, and I've lived like 1,000 lives, you know, and so it's a trade-off sometimes. But there are ways to be not in a traditional like environment of earning like stable security, and you can still hit it big. Like these days, it's like anything is possible. You just have to figure out the right way to execute it and have the right timing, and then have God on your side, honestly. And that's not to say we have to wait around in a passive state. God, what do I do? But if there is an idea that comes to you that lights you up and kind of sets you on fire, you've been given it for a reason. And it's not like, that might not be the ultimate landing place, but for the most part, our lives are not just like a clear-cut movie plot where like, this is your purpose, and once you find this purpose, it's that clean and simple. It's like we a lot of us are more like a patchwork quilt, and all of these things add to one grand work, right? One big project, one big beautiful project. So again, if you have an idea that it lights you up and it's utilizing your gifts and your potential, God's maybe, neutral about it. Maybe he's just like, yeah, let's see what you can do with it. This is part of your becoming. Maybe it's not the thing that you're doing that's your purpose, but it's who you're becoming in the process, right? What purpose are you bringing to that thing? That thing is just the vehicle, right? For the purpose. Right? Like my friend calls like chips, or he says, what's the vehicle for this dip? Like if we're talking about a dip or like an appetizer that you're eating, like a ceviche, he's like, okay, what's the vehicle? Right? He's asking, is it a chip? Is it a cracker? Right? And so a lot of times our job is just another vehicle to lend itself to our greater purpose, right? Our purpose is taking place within that thing, or the relationships that we have all added to our purpose, right? It's not just one clear answer sometimes. For some people, there's many steps along the way that tell this great story that become this one unified thing, but the plan has different stages. And I think that we think that we're going to get to this this perfect spot on the playing board, and it's like, okay, there we're at, ding, we found our purpose, and now I'm just in this one movie, this one plot, this one series that continues. And for some people it is, it's like I have this lifelong purpose, and it stays this kind of similar, and it evolves, and that's what it is. And then for some people, they're bouncing around, they're all over, and they have different ventures and experiences, and they all add to the tapestry, as it were. All right, so Jupiter and trining Saturn, the more that we give to life, in our sincerity, and the more that we give to our personal growth and transformation, and in applying and embodying the wisdom that we learn through experience, then the more fruits will be yielded. It's like fattening up a turkey. If you're raising a turkey and you're hoping to eat it for Thanksgiving and you've got a year, the more you feed the turkey, and better care you take care of the turkey, the fatter the turkey's going to be come feast time. So kind of macabre for the turkey. Sorry turkey. All right, so and then we have Jupiter squaring Chiron, and so this is a challenging aspect. So maybe we've had a hard time with abundance and expanding and having anything take off. And that's been part of the wound that Chiron has been, or that's tied into the wound, or one of the results or symptoms of the wound of our Chiron, aspect, look in your chart to see where your Chiron is, what house it's in, and that will relate you. It will connect you with some, like the wounded healer, which is the wound that you have that specifically gives you it's the vehicle that gives you the potential to learn and expand from that wound, and then gives you actually something that you can use to help others and to guide others with too. So Chiron was wounded by his father, Saturn. He was rejected by Saturn. And so Chiron, went through a process and ordeal over this, but when he came to the other side of it, he became the teacher and the healer for others who helped others. So the fact that this is squaring Jupiter has to do with the fact that this wound that Chiron is tied to, if you can have some insight and revelation about this, and have, like, people have been talking about how this full moon is going to reveal something to you, like it's going to make an idea clear, or you're going to have a clear thought, or something that you didn't know about, or that you didn't understand it's like eureka, right? And it's going to change everything. So maybe you can gain some insight into where your Chiron is, and the more healing and progress and transformation that you can do with that wound, then that's going to be the thing that's going to give you more and more expanded opportunities and abundance and fulfillment, and it's going to open your life up. But I think that Saturn has been restricting us around that Chiron wound, and it's been preventing us from being able to be as adventurous and participate the way that we want to in life. And we felt kind of held back, and we felt kind of blocked, and we felt almost like isolated, or like put into spiritual quarantine almost. And I think that now that we've been with ourselves in this process and taken time to do that deep inner work, I think we're getting to a place of breakthrough where things are going to start opening up for us, because we put in that dedicated effort to the healing, and because now we've got the momentum on our side. We're like, yes, I'm healing, I'm becoming more aware, getting more awareness around this, and I'm turning things around. I'm embodying these revelations, and I'm taking action on them, right? Like, I recently have, like, for a long time, I've been talking about wanting to shift my routine around and not film after work, but film during the day before work. And if I could get all my filming done before work and get up really early, like, that's the schedule I like to keep, because I work at a dinner place at night. So my hours have become a little bit later than they used to be. So the last couple of weeks, I had a chance one night on like a Sunday to like stay home from work, and I got everything done early, and I went to bed early, and then I was able to start my week fresh, getting up early, filming before work, and it just started to shift everything, and everything started to feel like it's changing. I'm feeling this positive momentum in a good direction. And I knew that was one easy, simple habit that I needed to get into and make that effort to change. And it was a hard one to do. It was simple, but difficult for me. And the past couple of weeks have been great, because I've been finishing filming before work, except for last night. And today, right now, I'm off. So it's just dark. It's still fairly early when I'm filming this. But anyway, it can be something simple. It can be big things. It can be deep things. It can be all the things, right? It can be a little bit of each. But I think that the more that we can heal these things that have been holding us back from mundane to the deepest things, then that's going, like, whatever we can give to it, right? It's like our spiritual investment. So the more we invest, the more we're able to get in there and get our hands dirty and do the work, then the more blessings that are going to be yielded from that. And I think we instinctually just know that's true already, but right now the sky has positioned itself to support that. All right, and we also have Saturn conjunct Neptune. So there is a really big Saturn and Neptune conjunction, I think, in February, if I'm not wrong. And it is it's happening at 0 degrees of Aries, which is starting the zodiac all over again. So I guess right now it must be, if we're in Gemini now, then maybe by then it would be in Aries. I don't know. I'm not sure where we're at now in the scheme of things, but Saturn is conjuncting Neptune. And so when we get there in February 19th or 20th, Saturn is conjuncting Neptune at 0 degrees Aries, which is the cardinal sign already. Then it's the 0 degrees, the very beginning of Aries, at the 0 degrees. And this is finishing a 330-year cycle and beginning a new 330-year cycle. So this is a once in a lifetime sort of transit and it's huge, and it has to do with, so these two things conjunct, sorry, I don't know if I said trine because I was already saying trine before, but conjunct, so Saturn conjunct Neptune is like working with it in correlation. It's like, hey, we've got to hash this out. We've got to figure this thing out together. And so they're doing this dance, and what it's yielding is like back to that, the ideas, bringing our ideas into fruition through the Gemini air ideas. Neptune is the dreaminess of the vision. It's dreaming, it's imagining, it's fantasizing, it's kind of ruminating in the beauty of the potential of the thing. And it's got all the creative theater to paint it out in great detail. And then you've got the intellectual mind, like Pisces is getting in the feeling of the creativity. It's like, ooh, I've got this idea, and I love this dreamy feeling of it, and I can feel this idea. I can feel the essence of it. I can see it all so clearly. And then Gemini is like, yeah, and I'm clear about all the ideas coming in, about all the steps of how we make it happen and how we communicate this. And so those two are working really well together. So it's like our dreams right now are so enhanced, and we're getting such clarity around the dreams. Like think about this. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you have a dream and you're trying to remember it, but it's slipping away. And if you could just get a clear picture of it, you could articulate it. That is right now what's happening with the Neptune and Gemini combination. But with the Saturn conjuncting Neptune, it's like saying, hey, snap out of the dream world, fantasy boy, girl, whatever. It's time to wake up and get to work, right? You got to make this thing happen. You got to make this dream a reality, or else it's going to eat you alive, right? So you're going to leave it on the shelf. And this is something that is important, and it's part of your gift and your talents. And so it's going to be, this is now a really good time to really get the visual clear, because now we need to start thinking, okay, I want to be already like in go mode, so that when I hit that slingshot effect of the cycle starting over in February, it's going to launch me with so much momentum. So we're getting disciplined now. We're getting the structure in place now. We are respecting our time now. Think about when you're the most productive doing when your mind is the most active and productive for certain activities, and then change your routine to enhance that, right? Work with what you know your rhythms and strengths and cycles are. Hack yourself like that. Hack yourself out. So getting the discipline to actually bring that dream into reality through pragmatic, consistent, practical diligence and discipline. And then we have Uranus sextiling Neptune. And that is a very positive aspect. And Uranus is the thing that brings sudden change and revelation and revolution, and it's a rebel, and it's kind of chaotic sometimes, right? It's a lightning strike kind of situation, but that's good. There's something that's really shaking things up. And there's something about that it's like there's something being shaken up. There's something being switched around. And it's like the catalyst, though, for all of this positive change and the awakening of like a sense of urgency. Like, oh gosh, I'm ready to take this on. I am past. I am like already late for work kind of thing on this. Like, no more horsing around, no more pussyfooting around. I am like, the rubber hits the road, right? Taking action. All right, so let us get into our reading. So we're gonna do a cardinal Celtic cross with the straightforward oracle. So right now, us in the context of this moment, the first card that came out says, don't be jealous. Now, jealousy can be a helpful tool if we yield it correctly. So if we are jealous or envious of someone, we can simply reframe that. And instead of putting evil eye on the person, wishing we had that, or, feeling like mad that they have it and we don't, or begrudging them for having it, we say, wow, I'm happy they have that thing because they've been able to demonstrate to me what's possible for me. And I see my potential in them, and it awakens in me a Uranus trining Neptune moment where, oh my gosh, I have this urgency that I want that too. And now I have more motivation to be stepping up and being my personal best, right? You're not competing with other people. You're only ever competing with yourself, right? And so, or that's what we should be doing. That's the more fulfilling way to live. When we compare ourselves to others, it's a recipe for low self-esteem and self-loathing and sadness and dissatisfaction, because you're looking at someone else's movie and judging yourself by it. And the thing is that when we go after things that aren't energetically or spiritually really ours, like it's like not really in our script, that is never going to make for a good movie. It's not. We're going to be the wrong cast. It's going to be chaotic and unfulfilling, and it's never going to be quite right? So we want to find ourselves within our true movie, right? Because we're going to be the best cast for the role, and we're going to look the best on screen. We're going to have the best chemistry with the other players in the script. So we realize, and we have we get that wisdom at some point that what is truly meant for me is really the only thing that's going to be truly fulfilling. So we can also think about that. Like, don't be jealous of someone else because they have problems you don't know about that you don't want. You don't really want to trade places with anyone else, And so you can just, like I said, reframe that jealousy and see it as not that you are negatively putting evil eye on that person, but you're seeing them more as an inspiration. And they are showing you your potential that you could live up to. And the fact that you have like a discomfort about that is just that little alarm going off in you that like time is of the essence. Like, what's stopping you? Like, why not start doing that thing? Why not be that girl that you see inside of yourself that you want to let out, right? Or that boy or that guy or that man or that them, it doesn't matter, but be the person that you feel is within you that wants to come out, that you see in that person that makes you upset that you're neglecting that. Don't be jealous. And so also too, energetically, if we're jealous and begrudging of someone for having something, then we're blocking ourselves from getting that thing. But if you can be glad that someone else is blessed with something that you want, then that actually opens the channel for that thing to come to you. So the next card is what is crossing us right now. Creative collaboration. Woo! I feel this poignantly, and I feel like a lot of you that watch this channel are creative in some way. You may not be a traditional artist, but you may be wanting to go your own way in life, follow your own path, do your own thing. And I consider a lot of things to be creative. And so I feel like the people that follow this channel are probably wanting to, see their vision come to fruition, or they're following a goal, or they're trying to create something, or at least intentionally create their life, right? And so for me, what makes me feel that jealous anxiety, that feeling that like time is of the essence, like I'm missing out, I'm not getting to participate, is when I see people who are doing similar things in my field and they're taking off. And I see people who have found their little niche or their little quirky thing, and everybody gets it. Everybody gathers around them and supports them in it, and they rally and they like their posts, and then they take off and their business takes off, and then they start becoming successful, and then everything kind of falls into place for them. And that's hard for me to watch a lot of times, because I feel like I've been sort of like, trying at these things for a really long time and being really true to my calling. And so that is the thing that the opponent, but also the creator, uses to refine my spirit, or not really refine my spirit, because my spirit's perfect, but refine my soul and refine my consciousness. And so that's the lesson for me right now, is that when I see other people getting creative collaborations and sponsors and opportunities, right? It kind of triggers me. And so if I can start seeing those people as my inspiration and as motivation and as a beacon of, hey, they did it, so I can do it too. And they've left me a roadmap, and I can, learn from different people's strategies, and, not taking someone's idea, not doing what they do, not copying what they do, but just generally seeing, oh, this is possible, right? And seeing that, things are possible for you too. So then that opens up the possibility for you to have opportunities for creative collaboration. So like minds capable of manifesting a common vision. So, and then two, right? So what if someone has been brought into your realm, and maybe this is a new character, or maybe it's a character that has already been in your realm, but you may be they're maybe also in your world of what you're trying to create and do and make. And maybe you have almost an instinct to want to be jealous of them, but in fact, if you can get over it, the two of you could work really well together, or be very supportive and play off of one another and be good creative friends, and sort of creative running buddies, right? But rather than being jealous of these people, consider them to be potential creative running buddies. All right, so the subconscious influence of this moment is Shabbat. So holy sacred rest, pause, cosmic womb, rhythms, introspection, spiritual renewal, sacred rituals. So I think that there is a need in us to honor that sacred pause, those sacred rituals. And we need to do that rhythmically every week for our spiritual renewal. There might be this period of time within this month that is kind of the underlying influence feels like things are kind of on one hand slowing down, but everything feels like it's going really fast and it's really busy in December. But you might have these moments of this quiet that give you opportunities to go inward and to reflect and to make the most of this season. Because one of the gifts of these weeks in December leading up to Christmas, solstice, Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah, there is this time, and an Advent is going on, right? All three of these things have us spiritually embracing this dark time of year and going inward and kind of being with those harder feelings to face. And so that we can be in them and we can listen to what they're trying to tell us. And it's so that we can do the alchemy of turning our bitterness into sweetness, right? And so many miracles and so much light can be revealed in this season. But again, it will yield what we give to it. So it's important that we see that this is not just a season to be rushed through, but there are treasures to be had in going deep into the dark and in the stillness and in the quiet, because that is where you will find the Christ consciousness, right? In that dark stable, right? With the animals, and there's that certain kind of hecticness to that too. In the stable, there's a mess there, but it's not out and about running around doing last minute Christmas shopping, stretching yourself thin, being everywhere at once. We all have things to do over the holidays, but we'll get so much more joy out of the holidays if we allow ourselves sacred intentional moments to go to that place. And the tenderness will creep up on you too. It will invite you in, because it's this whole month so far I've been super open, super tender. My heart has been so vulnerable and open, and I've like cried like a million times a day, but like not in a depressed way, but like I felt pain and I felt sorrow and I felt the sorrows of the world, and I felt anger and I felt wrath and I felt rage, and I felt it all recently. But I would say that through it all, I'm becoming more and more buoyant, and it's not taking me down, but it's like facing that dragon head on. And so yes, spending that quiet ritual time during the season. And I know I'm not a Catholic, so I don't know all the practices of Advent, but I am a mystic, and I'm a Judeo-Christian mystic, and I love rituals. So I'm very attracted to Catholicism. I'd love to learn more about it. But this time of year, there's so much ritual involved in also the Hanukkah, preparing for Hanukkah as a mystic, as a Kabbalist. You're embracing the darkness. You're going into your darkness to transform it and transmute it and bring it into light. You know, you're using this time of year to try to be more spiritually generous to others, with forgiveness, with grace, with compassion, with mercy. You know, the things that have disappointed you, you know, in your life, like you learn to see it differently, and you learn to look at the ways that God was in those moments too, and how you were shaped and strengthened and changed through them, hopefully for the better. And if you feel like you were changed for the worse through them, then it's never too late to go through a healing process of like praying to have a different perspective and different insights around that, and to glean, you know, insight and wisdom and takeaways, and have your heart changed by those experiences. And so it's never too late to start the work, right? If something is still a bitter pill to swallow, then, you know, you can pick up that assignment and it will eventually dissolve that pill. But we have to make that time. It's an invitation, but we have to give that consent, right? When the angel came to Mary, the angel didn't say, Mary, this is your purpose and your destiny. It's just going to happen whether you like it or not. The angel said, you know, we're coming to you. We've chosen you for this, but it's up to you. Like, this is an invitation. Will you do this? Like, can you do this? Are you willing? Like, do you want this? And she said yes without hesitation, right? So, you know, there's no coercion in spirituality. So the invitation will be there in your feelings of tenderness, but it's whether or not you make time to go there. And so a lot of people also read the book of Luke during the Advent, because there's 25 chapters in Luke. And so you can read a chapter a day up until Christmas. And I've never done that. And I thought about it today, and I was like, oh, I'd like to start that today. But I had the last video for the 2025 or 2026 prediction series to film earlier, and I got the day got away from me. So I think maybe I'll start it tomorrow and catch up, and maybe do that for the rest of Lent. Advent. Okay, so the I don't think that this is correct. I just came out while I was talking. Okay. All right, I'm shuffling. If it's really meant to come out, it will. I've seen this happen before. All right, so, okay, the card that we're picking out now is what lesson in the recent past is sort of clearing up. Like, maybe the influence of this lesson is still like kind of in your life, but the biggest part of the lesson, you've like come through it. Don't be lazy. Yes, this goes right into all of those Jupiter and Saturn aspects, and Neptune and Saturn and Neptune. I've been talking a lot today for hours, guys, so I'm losing it now. I'm losing steam. But don't be lazy, right? We've learned our lesson. We've learned that if we let things slide, we lose the momentum. And we've learned that when we are disciplined and excited and like get up out of bed with that fighting pluckiness and that squirrely spirit, then the universe moves to support us. It moves on our behalf, right? But if we're just like sluggish, being dragged into it, kind of dreading it, like, oh, I should make myself. And it's like some days are like that, but we need to really get our fire going and do things with intensity and gladness and intention. And so we've kind of learned from that. We've learned, you know, how much laziness costs us and how it doesn't bring us any fulfillment. Laziness brings instant gratification, but it brings zero long-term fulfillment. It usually just brings misery and anxiety because you feel anxious about the things that you should have been doing that didn't, then you wasted the time. Now you've got all these things that are like piling up that you wanted to do or that you need to do. And then, like, say if you're lazy, you didn't work out or you didn't keep your diet good, then you lose the progress and all of the work that you did to feel good and to look good and for your clothes to fit well, right? So it's like if we're lazy and we take, you know, days off work and like we're not getting paid for the days that we don't work, then there's consequences, right? So we've learned that the wages of sin is death. That our laziness yields anxiety and it costs us something in the long run. And so it might be instantly gratifying, but it yields no long-term value and no long-term fulfillment. And so even though discipline and not procrastinating is harder initially in the moment, you have to burst through a little bit of discomfort, it yields deeper fulfillment and much more value in the long run. Okay, what's crowning us now? You guys, I want to go the hype horn. Creation phase 4. Do you guys know what this means? If you have ever heard me talk about the 4 phases of creation, from Kabbalah, not my own, creation phase 4 is the manifestation of the creation and of the thought, right? It's of the final manifestation of the desires coming into material, and then it's also the fulfillment of the desire. So the manifestation is fulfilled, but it also brings fulfillment because you really earned that manifestation. It wasn't come easy go kind of thing. It was well earned, and you're invested in it. You value this. And so you have also passed the test that the universe has said. The universe put you in a situation where in creation phase 1, you have this passive desire, a little idea. Oh, that'd be cute. That'd be nice. That'd be a cool idea. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe it's something I should maybe try. But then if the thing takes off, you get an active desire, which is creation phase 2. And in creation phase 2, you're like, no, I'm really going to follow through on this. I'm going to do this thing. And so then you start going at it with like all guns blazing. Sorry, I could excuse the term. It's probably not very fun to hear anymore. And you are like so enthusiastic and you're all in and you're giving all your effort and you're burning the midnight oil and you're burning the wick at both ends and you're like, yeah, I am motivated. I'm in the honeymoon phase with this. The cardinal energy, I love getting this started and I love getting this launched, but it's like following through after that when the initial excitement wears off and you have to keep your momentum going. So what happens in creation phase 3 is that it's like being on a really long road trip through the desert, through the Midwest, and it's just flat. And you're like, oh, this was really fun when the playlist was fresh and we stopped and got a gas station snack, but now I'm feeling constipated and bloated and I have to pee again and I'm sick of this playlist. And now there's no way we can go back. We're too far in and we have no idea how far we have left to go. And it's like you start losing your steam and you're like, okay, the excitement has passed and now it's like I'm going on sheer willpower here. And you aren't seeing the results that you want. And you're wondering if it's gonna happen. And you feel like the universe is asking you to take a big risk or to take a leap or to make a big change or to tell the person the truth and how you feel and overcome a fear and face your fear and do this thing. Like, like the heroes, like the thing that the hero has to do to get them into the third act or the second act or whatever. And so you've done that thing, right? You're like, oh, but I did the thing and I overcame myself. And it seems like now I should be, getting the big prize or it should be falling into place. And it just feels like crickets and it feels like nothing's going to work out. And you're like, what if I'm doing all this for nothing? What if it's not? What if I'm going to fail? What if nothing results of this? What if I just keep pushing and pushing and nothing happens, and I'm not getting anything back, and it's not really giving me anything? And it's like, do I keep going? And this is where the universe is testing you to see if the passion of this thing, if you have a deep sense of purpose within this, if this is truly something that you feel like is aligned with like the creator and your divine plan, and it's, you know, it's really for you, would you do it even if it didn't work out? Regardless of the results, would you be like, no, I can't not do this. I have to do this. Like, I'm doing it whether there's any kind of profit or not. I'm doing it because it's like the creator wants me to do it. I'm doing it for the creator, and it's an expression of my passion. And I feel like I've been called to this mission, and so I'm just going to keep showing up come hell or high water. I won't be stopped unless the creator makes me stop. But at this point, I'm not doing it because I'm expecting a result or a payoff. I just can't not do it. I can't turn my back on this thing. And that's when, or like, I can't settle for less. I can't settle for less. Like, I know that this is for me. And that's when you eventually get in, you pass like the initiation, and you get into creation phase 4. And by the time that you really manifest the thing, you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into this, and you truly appreciate what you've gotten, and you don't take it for granted so easily, and you don't just squander it away. So that's what's crowning us now, the potential for our manifestation to truly come into fruition finally. And I feel like I've been in creation phase 3 for a while now, y'all. So I've just sort of been numb to the carnage at this point. And then what's ahead of us right around the corner? Vibrational resonance. Yes. So we are activating the law of attraction, and not only have we now merited connecting with our manifestation finally coming into fruition, but we're vibrational resonance with it. So when it comes in, it can stick, it can hold. We have the worth and the consciousness around this thing to be a vibrational match with it. Whereas had we gotten it sooner or forced it and we weren't a match, we would have gotten the thing, but it would have just fallen through our fingers, or it wouldn't have brought us any fulfillment, right? Sometimes you can manifest the thing, but it's not truly creation phase 4 because it's not quite in the right time, or we haven't fully reached the point of maturity within the process where we can truly have fulfillment when that thing arrives, or we don't have a vibrational resonance with it yet. And so even if we appreciate it and we want it and we want to hold on to it, it's not going to stick because there's something dissonant. But coming around the corner, we are vibrationally resonant with the thing. So that is very good news. Very, very exciting. Okay, the perspective that is affecting us, and it's our perspective that's affecting us, and this position is usually highlighting like what's holding us back or what's keeping us stuck. And usually if we get a really positive card in this position, it can indicate that it's hard for us to believe that positive perspective is possible for us. Right? Sometimes it means that we've got a great perspective and that's helping us along, but in many instances, it's kind of almost sometimes not helpful to tell you like, oh yeah, you have a great attitude, everything's going well, keep going. You know, I mean, sometimes this is nice for reassurance, but a lot of times this is telling us like, hey, you're having a hard time like truly believing this. So in this position, our perspective that's affecting us in this moment that might be causing us a little bit of turbulence or dissonance or keeping this thing at a little bit of a distance is that we're making too big of a deal of the situation. So making mountains out of molehills, this isn't as significant as you think. A good example of this in a creative sense is that I finally realized or learned like the reality of what you can expect to make from monetizing your channel from the ads revenue on YouTube. And it's not a lot unless you're one of the top creators on YouTube. Like you have to have millions of views for it to add up to anything significant. So basically you monetize a channel like that through using it as a vehicle for the rest of your business also. So you don't wait for YouTube to pay you. You're bringing your business and solutions to the people and making them available to them through your channel, your content, or whatever, right? Or you have different content or additional content on, say, a subscription platform like Patreon or Substack, right? And you can monetize yourself there. And so, but for me, I don't think for a long time, I thought that you, like, according to one of the coaches that I followed, and it was like, a few years ago, it was more possible to make more ad money and more revenue, getting less views. And it's just not the case anymore. It's just too flooded, it's too saturated. And so I think that it was this year where I was like, okay, I'm putting too much emphasis on trying to monetize my YouTube channel in this way, taking it viral or whatever. It's better. It's not going to be as significant as I think, because my friend, also one of my friends at work, she has like an account that's got over 100,000 followers, and she's a poet, but that has not equaled any kind of money or financial success or even selling her poetry book, right? So having big numbers does not equal sales necessarily, but having a more concentrated, intentional audience would, right, yield more fruits, so to speak. So is there something in your life that you think is going to make this significant change, and you're kind of stuck with tunnel vision on that thing, and you're missing out on other options and other opportunities? Also, is there something in your life that you are making a big deal out over and it's not a big deal? And it seems like it's a big deal, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not as big of a deal as you're making it. And it's not gonna create like it's not gonna affect you significantly. Let's just put it that way. The next card is going to represent other people's effect on us, the outer world's effect on us. Okay, let's see what that one was. I'm in a little bit of a different setup. I've got my little wooden cart on wheels over here, and it's a nice little filming setup, so I don't have to move my whole living room around. Oh, okay, that threw me off. It was confusing. Creation phase 1. Okay, interesting. So the outer thing, the material outer influence that is affecting us right now is that we have a passive desire. It's not active enough. We're not willing to do what it takes. We're not willing to really put the skin in the game or make the sacrifice or make the change, right? Or perhaps it is that the universe hasn't been fully convinced that we're not still in creation phase 1. So we're very close to being in creation phase 4. But there's something about an action that we're not taking. And so in many ways, we have been going through this, and we're almost on the verge, and maybe we've even gone through creation phase 3, and we're like, oh, do I even have an active desire to want to do this anymore? It's like we need to have like that reset, the reboot, the recharge. But so desire, dream, illusion, fantasy, idea, passive desire, receiving without earning. So just taking something without going through the process of earning it. It's like easy come, easy go, like winning the lottery, but you don't have any money skills, and you don't have like the nervous system to contain the money, and you don't feel like you deserve the money. So people like squander the money, or it ends up ruining their life or whatever. Not willing to do the work. Unclear desire. So maybe that this Gemini full moon is going to help you get more clarity about what your desire is, right? Sometimes it's not enough to just think, gosh, I would like to make more money, but to have a specific number that you are trying to work towards, that gives you something like an achievable goal. Whereas if you're just keeping it sort of general up in the air, you don't actively go after it because there's no goal set, right? So getting specific, getting clarity, getting into the detail of what it is that we desire, right? If I desire a relationship, what kind of a relationship? What kind of person do I want to be in a relationship with? What do I want my relationship to be like? You know, how do I want to pace that relationship in the beginning? You know, I need to get intention and specific about that desire, or else it's sort of not active. The universe is like, well, I know you want to watch TV, but like, what channel do you want to watch? Because you're just on the menu right now and you're just staring into Roku City. You're rotting in Roku. Cosmically, we're rotting in Roku right now. We're just staring at the Roku skyline. If you know, you know. If you guys have Roku streamer boxes, there's like these cityscapes that every major city, there's like a kind of representation from it. But then there's all these like classic chaotic things from movies going on, and you're just like, what is that? What's that? Is that Godzilla? Wait, is that by Aldi? And it's like sometimes there's like minor details changing, and it's just like entrancing, and it's just kind of like moving along, and it's all these like kind of soothing tones and colors, and you're like, how long have I been like this? All right, so unclear desire, unfulfilled, a feeling of being unfulfilled, not yearning or craving, wanting but not willing to make the effort yet, hoping the creator just brings it to me or does it for me, a vague desire, self-doubt, justification, comfort, mediocrity. All right. Any and all of those things could be affecting why you are in the position that you're in right now. Sorry that burn. Okay, all right, so this card, I don't know what it is, but this is representing our hopes and fears. This relationship is worth working on. So our hopes and fears are sort of interconnected. So there's something about what we're hoping for right now and what we are fearing will happen. And so there's something about this, our relationship to this thing, that is worth working on. If it is a person, the relationship is worth working on. So overcoming challenges, finding common ground, better together. What if you thought of your problems as assignments? The same problems would be waiting for you in the next relationship. There is true love here. Value your bond, grow together. So, okay, let's say, okay, so for instance, you could apply this to a relationship or say a job. So, or many things, but let's use these two examples. So the same problems would be waiting for you in the next relationship. In Kabbalah, we learn that when we are paired up with someone in life, romantically or otherwise, but specifically, let's say romantically, there are certain things that we as a couple are going to work out together. And there are also going to be challenges and parts of ourself that come up, and they are, bringing up our shadow aspects for us to see. And like, especially if you're in a tikkun relationship, this is all about working out your stuff, right? And these are the relationships that are usually the ones that are more tumultuous or intense or extreme. And so every relationship has some aspect of this, things that we have to work through, and they're just bringing up parts of ourselves. And so a lot of times people think that they have had it with a relationship, and so they see something like the grass is greener on the other side, and they're like, you know what, I'd be better off with that person instead of this person. That person is more like what I want, or who would be good for me. And so they end up leaving the dissatisfying relationship without solving the issue in that one. They run away from the issue, thinking they're escaping the person, so they're going to leave the issue behind. And then they start a relationship with the new person. And after the honeymoon phase is over with the new person, lo and behold, the new person turns right into that other person. The same problems are here. That's because the plot of your movie stays with you regardless of what characters and actors come in and out. So if you don't resolve the lesson that you need to resolve in this chapter of your life, the vehicle for the lesson will be waiting for you in the next person. I was going to call them the next flesh bag, but I think that's undermining their value. Yeah, so it's like, it doesn't matter. You know, God told me this once, but he was like, it doesn't matter who the guy is. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It's like, if you're like torturing yourself over, is it this person or that person? I just don't know. It's like, God told me, he was like, it doesn't matter because I'm showing up through that person exactly the way you need me to at that moment. So if the challenge is what you need, then that person is going to have the same challenges, right? If, you know, you're not probably going to be pacified, you know, it's like these things are sent to you to bring parts of yourself out, right? So, you know, there's going to be certain people that nurture you in certain ways and bring out, you know, the best in you. And that's sometimes not always going to mean that it's all sunshine and rainbows, right? So, you know, God shows up the way we need him to through the different people and places and things that we are experiencing in our lives. So again, if we have relationship problems of a certain nature with one person and we leave that relationship before we come to a level of resolution with that, or insight or enlightenment about it, or healing, then we're going to go into the next relationship with those same tendencies within us that are going to be mirrored back to us by a very similar character, a very similar personality. And it's like they can just like morph into it. They weren't even like that before. Because you haven't finished the assignment. Okay? So too with work, right? I've worked in restaurants or film and television my whole life. And so in film and television, it was gigs. And the gigs always came with a different production company, different group of people, different crew. And yet it's always the same crew. It's always the same people. It's always the same production company. It's always the same issues. And it's like when I was going through certain phases of, you know, change and issues, I would be always having these types of gigs and these types of production coordinators who would lose my paperwork or were difficult to work with. And when my worth grew and I, you know, grew in my confidence and I could say no to those jobs, then I started attracting better circumstances and situations, right? But if you don't resolve the issues that are the assignments playing out, then the same situation is just going to be waiting for you in the next gig. Same with restaurants, right? You get these, you know, you have problems at restaurants, right? There's so many variables going on, clashing personalities. You're in the most intense, stressful situations. And then there's the fluctuation of business. And so, you know, you can get in your head. You can be like, well, maybe I would do better at another place. And because I have issues with the hosts here, they're unfair to me, they're outstitting me, and the management thinks be this way, and or not, or you know, the clientele, this and that, and it's like you think, oh, I'm going to leave this job and go to this other restaurant, and all my problems are going to be solved. Lo and behold, same hosts are there, not literally, but like it's the same deal over and over and over again. It's like you're stuck in a loop because you have to finish that assignment. The assignment is still waiting for you. Doesn't matter who the people are or who the place or the building or the clientele. If you don't take the lesson that you need, they're going to haunt you like ghosts. Believe me, I've lived a lifetime of finding this out. So the relationship is worth working on. The place that you're at is just, it's worth working it out there, right? Don't uproot yourself and bear the cost of change. Because, I mean, bear the cost of adjustment. I mean, it's like we're always wanting change. We always want change, but that doesn't mean that you have to burn every bridge and quit every job and leave every relationship behind. It's like, there can be micro changes or, changes within something. The place that I've been now, I've been at several years, and there have been times where things have been difficult and challenging and, maybe sometimes more negative and sometimes more positive, but sticking through it over time, it's like you learn, you go through cycles, and now everything's great and I really like it. Now we're in this weird time of year where, if you're in hospitality, you know how it goes, but overall it's like it's not that the people there have changed. It's that I have worked on my own personality flaws that have been mirrored to me through this environment and through being with the same people for years and years, and having to see my own rough edges and work on those. And so now, because I have worked on those, my circumstances are changing. And it seems like even what would appear to an untrained eye to look like random luck, that luck is not really luck, but it is turning around, right? So it's like when we see the truth behind the curtain, it's like, oh, okay, I can get to the real work now. I'm not thinking, oh, I need to get my resume together, or I need to find another relationship. It's like double down on the self-work and then see what happens, right? If God wants you out of that situation, he'll take you out of it, because I was in the wrong relationship and I kept praying about it and I kept doing the work and doubling down on the work and on myself and learning more and changing more spiritually and growing more spiritually. And I was doing the righteous path, right? I was doing what Kabbalah taught me about doing that inner work. And lo and behold, when I was at the end of my rope and I still just did not know whether I was supposed to stay or go, because I was confused about some Christian indoctrination around, or the way I understood it, around being like a good woman who stood by her man and supported him no matter what, instead of like standing up for my worth. I didn't understand it clearly. And so when I was starting to understand that clearly, but I still wasn't quite sure, the relationship ended on its own. And it's so funny because I ended up listening to a podcast, and I had been avoiding the podcast because I knew if I listened to that podcast energetically, it would signal to the universe that it was time to end the relationship. And I listened to the podcast, and I think we got in an argument later that night, and we broke up then. And everything has been wonderful ever since. Like, my life has improved like so much. Like, it's crazy how apparently miserable that relationship was making me. And if only I had the courage and the understanding and the insight and the wisdom to leave it sooner. But it took that a few years to figure it out and to go through the full process. So when you're graduated from something, God will move you out of it if it's not meant to be. So, and the final outcome is let go of control. So yes, sometimes when we think, oh, I've got to find the next relationship, or oh, I've got to get my resume together to go to the better job or whatever, instead of actually surrendering to the process and saying, okay, God, let's do this together. Work on me. What is it that you're wanting to change in me that would merit a better circumstance, right? And so that actually requires that we let go of control. And we surrender to the discomfort of the process, and we get in there and we look at it and we examine it and we get our hands dirty. Acceptance, surrender. To pass the test, you must let go of control. The universe is stretching your trust muscles. Trust all is well. Let go. Control is only an illusion. Be free. All right, now let's grab a few tarot cards to sum it up. I'm really excited about the 2026 prediction series, guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, here we go. The Hierophant. I love this. Becoming the spiritual sovereign and authority over your life, not waiting for the world to give you permission, but seeing the realization, oh, okay, I'm the spiritual leader of my life. I'm not getting bounced around from circumstance to circumstance to see what the conditions are when I get there. I'm not a victim of circumstance. I am the cause of the circumstances. So taking on that kind of taking ownership, not control. So when you take ownership and you take responsibility, instead of thinking you're taking control, because that's an illusion and that's coming from the ego, but taking responsibility and then surrendering to the process. Okay, I know what I need to do now to get through this assignment. I'm going to be the spiritual leader of my life. I'm going to take initiative. I am going to boldly go where I have not gone before, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get insight about myself, and I'm going to unlock, this thing that's holding me back from, growing into my potential and realizing my potential. And that comes from that connection with strengthening our connection with God, because then we can get that divine inspiration and insight from the Holy Spirit. Yes. And when we take the reins, when we take the spiritual leadership in our life to take up that yoke and to prioritize our spiritual devotions and that practice and that follow through, that when you're a disciple, you have the discipline of changing your life and living in accordance with the teachings of your master, of the Messiah. You're not just showing up for the trend or to be part of the culture or as like a background thing that your parents raised you this way. To be a disciple of Christ means that you get on the road, you put on those leather sandals, you've got the staff, you're out there, you're doing it, you're following the teachings, and you're living the way that Christ consciousness would have you live. So, and that is taking responsibility of the self, right? Thinking about how your thoughts and your actions and the way that your heart is set, right? What is the motive of your heart? How are your actions being reflected in this world that is making an impact on the world for good or for bad, right? So then taking on that yoke, that discipline, that consciousness, that spiritual leadership of your life will bring you harmony, prosperity, fulfillment, right? The Four of Wands is usually depicting like a wedding or a marriage or celebration like that happening, because it is this time of having that inner sacred marriage where the alchemy is it's all fitting together. Our interior is starting to materialize on the outer expression. Like our inner change is starting to become evident in the way that we live and in the way that we are and how we show up. And so it's yielding more fulfillment, more peace, more harmony, more abundance. It's a period of well-being and prosperity. So this is good. Ooh, okay. Three of Cups. I love it. Something to celebrate. I mean, this is the holiday season. So make sure and take time not only to Shabbat and to have that sacred ritual time to go inward and to connect with the holiness of the season, but also to get together with the people that you love and appreciate and break bread and, eat, drink, and be merry, right? But there's something too about this, about celebrating having come to the next level, right? This can signal like the beginning of a new phase, like the ending of one phase and the beginning of the next in a positive way. Like say graduation or the completion of a first draft or your manuscript or something, or weddings or engagements or pregnancy announcements. It's the beginning of like a new journey, right? Of taking you into a next level. I'm like getting distracted by their cute outfits. Oh my God. And this next chapter is going to bring a new level of fulfillment, a new level of security. These could be seeds that you're planting that are going to yield like long-term security, or that your efforts that you're going to make, you're planting seeds that are going to yield fruit, right? They're going to come to fruition. So staying positive and staying uplifted and staying in unity and in love and collaboration with others, and having that spiritual authority and leadership over yourself to stay on target and focused. Let's grab a Moonology card. We get Sagittarius. No, it's Aries. New moon in Aries. It's time to take action. I love it. That's been the energy too. It's like no more hesitation. It is time to act. It is time to take action. So I love that. No more delays. And then it's like all that cardinal energy we were talking about. Were we talking about that in this? Maybe we were talking about it in the December reading for 2026 prediction series, but I believe that we were just talking about that when we had the astrology book out, is what it was. Yes, so lots of cardinal energy in the air. With that Mars aspecting Chiron, it's like healing that aspect of ourselves that is like into starting things but not finishing them. I didn't intend to keep shuffling and pulling, but I just was like thinking a new romantic cycle begins. Woo! New moon in Libra. I love this. We've had a lot of encouraging messages for a while now that there was, new romantic potential. So we'll see how that plays out. If we are coming through to this like completion and this graduation from all this personal growth and we're starting this new, creation phase, maybe that means that we have done enough work to where a relationship wouldn't be too distracting. Like we've done the big heavy lifting, and now it's like, okay, we've got a little more bandwidth here. Wow. Okay. So y'all, seriously. Okay. Two of Cups. Falling in love or the resurgence of a romantic relationship, forgiveness and the ending of challenges, exchanging gifts, Christmas, Hanukkah, holidays, all the other holidays in the, do you swap gifts on Kwanzaa? I don't know a lot about Kwanzaa. And solstice, Yule, do you swap gifts for Yule? I mean, I would imagine that there would be lots of fun witchy things that you could give someone around the time of Yule. Is that like a tradition? Don't give up on people you love. Persevere. The relationship is worth working on. Whether this be, it could tie into your parents too, because your parents, the relationship you have with your parents affects your romantic relationships, right? So maybe you have, I know a lot of people right now in this year of 2025 have had a difficult time wrapping their mind around if they, if them and their parents are on the right page or the same page about things. Like, for instance, a lot of people have older parents who are more right-wing leaning, and they're just been sort of like the targeted audience to suck into this, and they don't even kind of know why they're doing it. Or maybe you're infuriated because you've seen that they are jumping on this bandwagon or whatever. Or maybe it's been that they've been caught up in this brand of religion that isn't true to the sacredness of the religion, and so maybe you're just flabbergasted with them at the moment. I know a lot of people who are having difficulties with their parents. There's a big generation gap right now, and I think that there's also a lot of like we're expressing it a lot, but there's a lot of anger towards baby boomers, honestly, for kind of leading us blindly down a dead end and like driving us off of a cliff. So we might be feeling a little bit annoyed with our parents for many, many reasons for our whole lifetime that might just be culminating right here in this year of like aggravation. And we might feel so exhausted that we're like, if we haven't been able to work this out by now, like I'm almost gonna give up. It's never gonna change. But this relationship is worth working on. These are your parents, and You're going to be tied to them energetically forever. So you're assigned to one another. And even with all the difficulties too, especially the difficulties, those were put there for a reason, and they have the potential for you and them to bring out the most in one another if you can embrace the reason why you challenge each other the way that you do, right? So Kabbalah gives us this exercise to answer 3 questions, or answer 1 question, but with 3 answers. What are 3 difficult reasons that you chose your mother? Or fill in father or mother. And then the other question is, what are 3 difficult reasons why your father or mother chose you? And I would take each parent through this separately in separate exercises, but this is challenging you to think about all the reasons why you think that you and your parents aren't a good match, that you've had problems. Those problems were specifically were part of the reason why you were creatively collaborating with these souls. That these souls were assigned before we were incarnated to put these triggers in you with their difficult personality type for a reason to bring out potentially your greatest strengths and greatest character qualities. At the same time, the parts of you that are most difficult for them to swallow were given to them on a silver platter to aggravate all of their weaknesses and issues and reflect all the things back to them that they don't want to look at. So we're all working in a creative collaboration on a soul level. It's just realizing it and trying to perceive it that way and not take it so personally, even though that sounds like an impossible thing to accept. So don't give up on people you love. Okay. Amazing. Now let's grab a couple of cards from our manifestation oracle deck. What do we need to know about our manifestations? Let's see what's this. Ooh, set your sights higher. So expect more of yourself and set the bar a little higher and increase your effort out of your comfort zone. Increase your standards, expect more for yourself, and don't settle. Okay, what do we have here? Self-employment. So you're a born entrepreneur and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities. Again, this whole conversation has been around, getting our creative vision and our creative voice out into the world by taking action, by believing in ourselves, by getting ourselves out there. This is just highlighting that, underscoring it. Worthiness. If we don't feel worthy, then we won't follow through. And when we don't follow through, we feel even less worthy. It damages our self-worth. So in order to increase our self-worth, it's not that we're increasing the worth is already at 100% full tank. We are worthy inherently. But our perception of our worthiness can change, and it can take a hit, or it can be healed. And so when we make an effort to really show up for ourselves and to invest in ourselves and keep our promises to ourselves and honor ourselves and respect ourselves, and that deepens our self-worth, especially when we're consistent and we keep our word with ourselves. When we are attracting people and situations that are inconsistent and don't treat us well, it's because we are doing that to ourselves in some kind of sneaky way. And I realized that I was guilty of being that narcissistic boyfriend full of empty promises to my own self. Every time I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed early and get up early and chase my dreams tomorrow from a new sense of vigor. It's not that I don't do it every day, but I know that getting up a few hours earlier is gonna unlock something huge for me. And the fact that I kept saying yeah, I'll do it, and I didn't do it. If this was a man in my life, I would be infuriated, I would be disappointed, I would be turned off, I would be repelled and repulsed by him, and I would be resentful, and I would be, it would be starting to cause problems. And it would be something that I would be, communicating. and you don't see it when you're doing to yourself. And then I've had guys like that. They're just non-committal. They get flaky. They're not like that at first, but they get that way. And it made me realize, there's something in me that's resonating with that, or else it wouldn't be a vibrational match. And then I saw that. I was like, oh, so clearly. And so now when I am not keeping promises to myself and not showing up for myself the way that I should, I realize that I wouldn't want to accept this treatment from another person. So why am I treating myself like this? When I treat myself like this, it gives an energetic permission slip for other people to come act the same way. So we have to start with, how are we treating ourselves? We have to change the vibration from a foundational level so that we can resonate with what we truly want to bring in, which, hinting earlier that we're starting to resonate with what we want to vibrate with. So know that you deserve to receive good in all ways. All right. Treasure chest. Yee! An unexpected windfall. An unforeseen windfall of new abundance is coming to you now. So again, Jupiter expands what we give it. And so Sagittarius season is the season we're in when we're invited into the darkness to go in, dig deep, give true and lasting change, and really like go into the spiritual depths of connecting with God, with connecting with the Christ consciousness of this time of year, with the meaning of Christ's birth and Christmas and the relevance of Yule and solstice, and all three of those things are interconnected. Hanukkah, Yule, or solstice, which is / Yule, and Christmas. Those things on a mystical level are all related. It's just that from a material level, people are all fighting over, or not necessarily, but they're like, this thing is separate, it's its own thing, and this is its own thing, or Christmas copied this, or they were just doing it politically. And it's like, God can arrange little pawns and boobs to do his like plan for him. And the fact that on a mystical level, they are all interconnected. The fact that Rome arranged Christmas to be celebrated on the day that it was not an accident, but a cosmic part of the plan. Or the cosmos using the Roman Empire as a pawn to do their work, do their bidding for them. So this season has so much potential to reveal the greatest miracles of the year and expand those miracles. But it's like, what are we bringing to the season? What are we giving to the season? Not what is the season giving to us and what are we getting from the season, but what are we giving to it? How much of ourselves are we giving to this time of year? And the opportunity that is at hand to have that change of mind and perception and heart, and to really change, you can have breakthroughs, you can heal, you can break addictions, all kinds of miracles are possible. Any kind of miracle is possible this time of year. So calling in our soulmate. So we're doing our romance reading for the month. Calling in our soulmate. So your prayers, affirmations, and visions help bring you together. All right. Well, we had the Libra new moon. We had 2 of Cups. So calling in our soulmate, we're starting to resonate with things. Oh my God, you guys, we're getting engaged. No, but seriously, our love life might soon become more engaging. Like, we might have a lot more activity going on. We might start meeting people. It is that time of year where we're going to be more social. We're going to be at more gatherings. So accept invitations, right? Put on the party dress. Go have some champagne. Get a little cheap jar of caviar from the store. Show up with it at the party. You will be like the hit. Like, people don't think about the cheap grocery store caviar being cheap caviar. They've just never been in a place with caviar before. Like, whoa, I've never had caviar. Well, this is cool. What a cool thing to bring, It's great. So these are the 2 ways that I serve caviar. I love caviar with plantain chips and a little bit of sour cream, like a little brush of sour cream on the chip, and then you garnish it with the caviar, delish. And then So I would say get as thin of a wafer cracker as you can, because you don't want to distract from the actual caviar. If you're eating it by yourself and you're not sharing it with a group, I would say get a tiny little spoon and take a little spoon, tiny little bite of like a black Cambozola label blue cheese, super creamy and like savory. And then dollop a little bit of the caviar on the cheese, and then you can eat like even like a little Castle Pastrano olive. Oh my God, so good. So delicious. Take it to the party, you'll be a huge hit. You'll be like the glamour girl. Okay, so we are getting more engagement in our love lives. Or the love life, the relationship we're in might be ascending to a higher level of commitment. What do we have? Okay, pay attention to red flags. Don't ignore the red flags, because when your light bulb gets bright, it attracts moths and bugs and all kinds of things. And so you got to be the one that's discerning, because all of these things are just going to be, all people are just going to be attracted to your light. You're going to be very attractive. And so it's going to be up to you to be very discerning when you have these options that are coming in. Okay, what are my long-term goals? Who am I really at my core? What do I need from a partner? What am I looking for in a partner? Do we have aligning values? Are we both pursuing this equally? Those kinds of things. And when you're seeing red flags, like, pay attention to them. And don't just pay attention to them and be like, okay, well, I'll keep going with this. Like, really pay attention, take heed. Maybe, the first flag you see, depending on what it is, like sometimes you see that first red flag and you're like, oh, hell no, getting out of here. But if it's a pink flag, put it aside, put it in the ground so you remember it's there, and like see what happens. If you keep getting pink flag after pink flag, those add up, they turn into a red flag. The flags are getting redder. But don't dismiss someone for the first mistake they make, unless it's major, but pay attention. The signs are cautioning you. These are warning signs. So, and then also sometimes we have our own red flags that the other person wouldn't see, but we can pick up on those before they can. And so if you can tell that, you have kind of like obsessive tendencies coming on, or if your anxious attachment is getting stirred, or you're growing an attachment to someone that's not really for you, like pay attention to your own red flags. Like when your behavior is getting, not what it should be, right? Attraction. Something is blooming. You attract romantic love by enjoying the moment fully. So be in the holiday mirth. Enjoy the season. Be in it. Go out with cheer. Get involved. Decorate. Put some garland on it. Get a little mistletoe. But have a good time, and be magnetic, and be social, and be joyous, and that is very attractive. And so the universe will start sending people your way. You have to give the universe an opportunity, right? Water follows the path of least resistance, and so does the universe, right? So that's why if we get too specific about the person that we want to manifest, that's also violating their free will, but it's only giving the universe one thing to work with. And if you're super specific about your type and you want one color of eye and this color job and this kind of job, and if you're like obsessing over these superficial details, then the universe doesn't have a lot to work with, because it's like, well, I have to meet these specific specs, and there's these options that are available in the area, and they may or may not work on an essence level. So it's better to know the essence of what you want to feel and be like in the relationship, and what you want the person to be like, and what you want the relationship to be like, and get less obsessed over such specific material details. You'll know your core values, but you can be more like bigger picture about it a little bit. Like you can know all about the things that you'd want to look for in a person, but you need to get clear about what are deal breakers and what are preferences, right? So what is our advice from Mother Mary? Devotion, Advent, Go into the darkness, do your devotions. It's going to yield the most treasure. Where your heart is, there is your treasure. As I fully commit to my values, relationships, and God, I am clear about what to do next. So again, that Gemini clarity coming through with that discipline from Saturn in the mix. What up, Saturn? Cracking that whip on us. But as you fully commit to these things, you become more clear about what you're going to do. Again, even back with the example of the bad relationship I was in, I was like unsure about whether or not it was really truly for me. So I got even more devoted and more committed to the relationship and to my own personal growth and to my relationship with God. And then the thing was resolved for me and I didn't have to look back twice. I was free of it and it was great. Best thing that ever happened to me. Don't miss him at all. Wouldn't say hi to him at the store if I saw him. That's the kind of like level of like peace you can make with someone when you know you exhausted every possibility and you know you were delivered from the situation. Okay, loving words from Jesus. Ask and you shall receive, that your joy be made full. Honey. Ask that your joy be made full. And you will receive it. To say that in a way that's easier to read. Ask God that your joy may be full, and you shall receive. Now, the joy might not be delivered in the way that you are, in the material package that you're hoping, right, in that specific way. But if you want to become a more joyous person, God will send you the workbook through life to achieve that. In 2010-ish, maybe 2012, around that time, I was riddled with chaos. And it wasn't because of my own doing, honestly, but it was like that kind of chaos that you grow up with and it's in your nervous system and then it just keeps manufacturing itself. And I wasn't aware of consciousness and like the law of attraction or the fact that our thoughts manifest and that we have more not control, but we have more of an influence on our situation than we think. And so I just was like, thinking of myself as a victim of circumstance. I was at the mercy of life and I was very frustrated and feeling despair, honestly. And I was angry and I was in despair and I was fearful and I was terribly distressed and depressed most of the time. And I'm a happy person. I'm a bubbly person, but I was going through the dark night of the soul, hitting rock bottom with just, why is my life this way? I do not deserve to have this life that is like this. Like I'm showing up, I'm doing the things that I think I'm supposed to be doing. So I remember writing on a Post-it note in like tearful desperation and putting it on my mirror and feeling so vulnerable and so stupid about it. The note said, I dream of one day being joyful, feeling joy for no reason. Or I dream that one day I will have joy for no reason or feel joy for no reason. And that seemed like a distant impossibility at the time. To have unprompted joy that wasn't just happiness that came as a result of something, but just to feel joy organically, unprompted. I didn't know what that felt like. I couldn't even imagine, but I could imagine imagining. And I prayed that so sincerely and for a really long time now. I think it was either right before that or right after that, somebody told me about The Secret and What the Bleep Do We Know. And those are two documentaries that are very powerful and they are very of their time. And we've kind of developed our understanding about their very generalized, very simple hypothesis then, but that was enough to plant the seed and get me on an awakened, conscious spiritual journey. I mean, before this, I was a devoted Christian, but I didn't have the tools of self-mastery. I didn't have the tools of consciousness. I didn't have the tools of mysticism. I had the instincts within me, I had the interest within me, but I didn't have the framework to take on the discipline, the discipleship of that. And I will say to you that for the longest time now, that took a few years of initiating the healing process, and it took a lot of processing emotion, a lot of journaling, and all that. But honestly, I feel joy most of the time, unprompted. Left to my own devices, unless there's something specific that I'm really concerned about at the moment, I feel joy. I feel happy. I feel buoyant. I feel at the very least neutral, mostly, and so I know that if you ask for this, ask and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. It's not like it's gonna maybe come on you all at once, or you may not get the lottery win that you're hoping for, but God will deliver you from the darkness, and it might require you answering the adventures, the call of the hero, the hero's call to adventure, that is going to take you on a journey. But if you accept that invitation and you take that pilgrimage, you will find joy, and your joy will be full. If you ask God to align you with your movie, with your destiny, then that's the destiny, the highest destiny for you, and that's going to be the most fulfilling. And that is all for tonight. So thank you so much. Keep an eye out for the 2026 prediction series. I'm so excited. Next phase, it's all in the can. That's a wrap on 2026 predictions. And now we are in post-production, editing, all that. So I will let y'all know when it is available. Ciao.